Welcome back to Mr. Leek's free science tutorials. Now, this question, right, is what are the numbers associated with every element mean, and what is the difference between an atom and an ion? Now, what I mean by the numbers, there's lithium, 6, 3. 3 at the bottom is the protons, 6 at the top is the protons plus the neutrons. So, what are the numbers associated with every element? So every element has numbers like that on the periodic table. What do they mean, and what is the difference between an atom and an ion? So, here we have the numbers. The mass number, which is the big number at the top, is the number of protons and the number of neutrons. So that is then where they're added together. The atomic number, or sometimes called the proton number, is the number at the bottom, and that is just literally the number of protons. But what you can work out from that is that if the proton number is 3, the electrons will also be 3. Now, the question is also asking about an atom and an ion. An atom is this, where it has the same number of protons and the same number of electrons. It's like a neutral atom. Same number of protons and electrons. An ion is where there is unequal number of electrons to protons. So basically what could happen is, on lithium, what it could do is it's got 3 electrons, 3 protons, but it could gain an electron or it could lose an electron. If it gains or loses an electron, it has a charge change. Now, that kind of makes sense, really, right? If something gains an electron, then what it then does is it becomes negative. Because if you think it's got 3 electrons and 3 protons, which even each other out, if it gains an electron, it'll then become more negative. So it becomes a negative ion. If electrons are lost, so one of those electrons goes away, then what would happen is the positive, it would become a positive ion. Logically again, you've got 3 protons, 3 electrons. If you lose an electron, then what would happen is you would have 3 positives, 2 negatives, therefore it would become a positive ion. Now, as an additional piece of information here, we've got the radius of an atom. The radius of an atom is 1 times 10 to the minus 10 meters. Now, you'll never get asked that, okay, but it's just one of those facts that's quite interesting to know. So, back to the question. What are the numbers associated with every element? And what is the difference between an atom and an ion? So, the mass number is the number of protons and neutrons, top number. The atomic number is the number of protons, bottom number. An atom has the same number of protons and electrons, standard atom that you'll see on the periodic table. An ion is then when there is an unequal number of electrons or protons. That means it's either gained an electron or lost an electron. If it gains an electron, kind of makes sense, electrons are negatively charged and it gains one, it'll become a negative ion. And what you'd do is you'd write the element symbol O with a 2 minus at the top of it, or F with a minus at the top of it. So minus basically means that it's a negative ion. If an electron is lost, then it becomes a positive ion, which makes sense, right? If you lose an electron, then you've got more protons than you've got electrons, therefore it becomes positive. All right, so that then answers the question, what are the numbers associated with every element? You've got your mass number and atomic number. What is the difference between an atom and an ion? An atom is the same number of protons and electrons. An ion has an unequal number of electrons and protons.